Hello, and welcome to Let My People Eat, a podcast that provides satisfying talk about kosher nutrition. Here we clear through the clutter of nutrition speak, arm you with the clarity and confidence to eat, feel, and be your healthiest every day. I am Jill Scharfman, a board-certified holistic nutritionist living in Los Angeles.
And I'm Dr. Andrea Moskowitz, a neuroscientist and psychiatrist in Los Angeles. I use my training and experience to integrate positive lifestyle changes into my patients' lives.
Today's episode is brought to you by Maple Pharmacy. You know, sometimes, God forbid, if you're sick, you hate running to the store to actually fill a prescription. It's the last thing you feel like doing. So Maple Pharmacy came up with a great idea. They have a large fleet of delivery vehicles to serve you with super fast and free delivery. And when you request free pickup service, they will come directly to your door, pick up your prescription, and then deliver your medication to you as soon as it's ready. I mean,
great.
How awesome is that? Their pharmacy staff offers personalized service and can also advise you about the most effective options to select from their comprehensive range of over-the-counter products, how to avoid unwanted drug interactions and side effects, and which foods and vitamins are best and worst to combine with your medication. The store is conveniently located in central Muncie for customers in Spring Valley, Airmont, and Chestnut Ridge, or you can visit them online at maplerx.com. Maple Pharmacy. Experience healing with heart. Hey, Andrea.
Hey, Jill, how's it going?
It's going okay. So I have a question for you. When your kids were younger, were they picky eaters?
At times.
Yeah.
And and also too, things would just dramatically change. So something they had eaten for a while, all of a sudden, that was like the most disgusting thing they could find on their plate.
Right.
And it also worked the other way too.
Yeah.
You know, something they had avoided completely, they would all of a sudden start eating, especially if they were at a friend's house.
Yes. I've had my daughter do that too. Try new things if they were at a friend's house, but not try it at home.
Yeah. And honestly, we sort of, at one point, resorted to a little subterfuge to get them to try new things.
Please tell.
So if it was like a new dish or a new vegetable or something so I just make a small portion of it. And when we ate together, they'd look at it and I'd say, you know what, that's just for Daddy and me. I said, if you want, maybe we could give you a little taste today, and then you can let us know if you like it or not. So that magically made everything much more appealing.
Right. Forbidden fruit is always sweeter.
Quote unquote with magically.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm so excited about our guest today because I think she's really made a huge step forward in how to get your kids to be excited about food from a very young age. So Yael Friedman is with us. She is a former pastry chef and current mother of three who's been living in LA for the past 8 years. After attending culinary school on the East Coast, she spent years working in the exciting world of the LA restaurant scene, including working for chef Sang Young of Luxin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and chef Thomas Keller. She left her restaurant job to return to school and earned an MS in nutrition education.
Oh, great.
As a mom, chef, and nutrition educator, she felt that all parents of young children could use a hand in the kitchen. So she started Kitchen Giggles, a child-centered meal kit aimed to encourage healthy eating for children ages 3 to 6. Hey, Yael.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are good. So tell us about this new venture. It sounds so exciting. It's only available in LA right now.
Right now only in LA. Yeah, so it's a meal kit, which is similar to other products like Blue Apron, where you get all of the ingredients you need to make one meal.
Right.
And this meal kit is aimed for chefs between the ages of 3 and 6. So the recipes are all illustrated. The actual tasks that need to be done are for kids ages 3 to 6. So there's no sauteing over high heat. There's no finely dicing onions.
Right.
And the foods are all fresh, whole grains, vegetarian, and delicious.
Oh, vegetarian too. Okay, that's good. Okay, so what made you, I talked a little bit about, your background. So how was this an epiphany you had one day? Like, I should do this? Or how did you come from your background as a pastry chef, then to a mom of 3 to figure out that this would this would be a good thing to go ahead and provide for other parents?
It actually was an epiphany. I was in a class for my master's about education in the schools, and we were discussing different age levels and grades and what kind of education is appropriate. And when they were talking about the preschool age, everybody's saying you need to get the parents involved in the education because parents are making most of the food choices, which is true.
Right.
But I was a parent of a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 9-month-old at the time. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I can't get my kids involved in this. My kids in the kitchen, it's a mess. It stresses me out. I just start screaming.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, what if it was more like the restaurant where when the person comes in to work their station, like the person who's doing salads, they're not actually chopping the vegetables for each salad. That's already done.
Right.
So they prepare everything. Then they come in, and then when it starts to get crazy, everything's ready to go, and it's much easier.
Right. So there's a term for that, mise en place, right?
Exactly.
Which is which is having everything already cut and measured and ready to go.
Right. So yes, we call it mise for short in the kitchen. My children are also at a Montessori school, which is very hands-on with kids. And the philosophy there is to really allow children to do whatever they think they're capable of. And my kids think they're capable of a lot more than I usually think they're capable of. And I end up being the one surprised most of the time.
Right.
And kids love getting their hands dirty. They love mixing. They love pouring. They love doing all of this stuff. So then I thought, you know what? If I could take a recipe and make it so that if the mise is ready, the only steps that need to be completed are mixing, pouring, and everything like that, stuff that kids can do, then this could actually be a dinner that kids make. Right. And that's a way to get parents and kids cooking together in the kitchen without parents going crazy.
Right, because it gives the kids ownership. It also, in my opinion, sets them up for a very important life skill. You know, that you need to learn how to cook, and you need to learn how to be in the kitchen. I believe it's an important life skill. So it actually is very good training for them. It makes them very comfortable in the kitchen. And you also include some activities in there, which I also thought was so smart.
I do because, again, I have my own test kitchen in my house. And sometimes kids just don't want to do something.
Right.
Sometimes they might finish much faster than you expect. And then you're just like, oh, hold on, I'm still behind. I'm still working on this. So then they can pull out their coloring or their maze or whatever it is, and they have something to do. So they don't leave and they haven't switched to another activity. They're still present. They're still paying attention, but they're not asking you, well, can I do this? Can I do that? When are you going to be done?
Right. So, this is all good. I know right now you're only in LA. Are you planning on expanding at some point? Do you think that's a realistic path for you?
I would love to run an empire. I would love to be like...
because I think a lot of these tips are just good if parents don't have access to Kitchen Giggles. If they don't live in Los Angeles, they can use these same techniques and methods and have everything ready and then have the kids come in the kitchen or print out activities that the kids can do if they kind of get bored. So I think there are a lot of good uses and good tips that anybody can kind of implement and use in their own kitchen. Now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, the activities are all available to be downloaded off my website.
Okay, great. And that website, it's kitchengiggles.com. I will post a link to it on the website for this episode.
There's also plenty of tips, recipes coming down the line. We're planning to have some of the actual illustrated recipes available for people so that they can do the exact same thing that people are doing from their meal kit in their own homes wherever they live. Okay, got it. And I'm just curious, how many meals a week are you, not how many people are you giving the meals to, but is it 4 nights a week that you have available? Is it 2 nights a week? It's for the summer, which is my kids all over the place. I'm in the kitchen 1 day a week, but that is going to change in September when they're all in school. And then I will be available more days a week. To provide more. Okay. So we talked a little bit about picky eaters. And I know on your website, you have a statistic that 50% of parents think that their kids are picky eaters, which, sounds about right.
what are some tactics? Like, what's your philosophy about how do you get kids to grow out of this, try more foods, try different foods? How do we expand their horizon?
The best way to expand their horizon is exposure, presenting a food repeatedly and accepting rejection repeatedly, which I think is the hard part, the rejection. Right. It's also exposure in the form of taking them to the grocery store or having them cook in the kitchen, where a cucumber is not something that is put on their plate and they're expected to eat, but a cucumber is something that they're working with. They're cutting it, and maybe during that process they decide to taste it. And then they realize, oh, this actually tastes good.
Right. And they need a lot of exposure. We're not talking 3 or 4 times.
Right. 15 to 20 is the number that they give as an average. But the other thing that's important for parents is to respect children's individuality. And you might have a child who says, I'm never, ever going to eat that. I just do not like cucumbers.
Right.
And that's okay. It's okay to not like cucumbers, but it's not okay to only eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every night.
Right. Okay. So, and for those people right now who are in that situation, like, is there a way to get the kids off? I know there are kids who only eat, like, pastas and breads. Would you just say continue to offer them the different foods 20 times until hopefully they get it?
I would say continue offering it. I would say try and get them engaged in the preparation. Mm-hmm. Role model, which is what you guys were saying before, put it on the table and just eat it yourself and show them. Right. Don't just tell them that it's delicious. Show them that it's delicious.
Right. So be a good role model.
Be a good role model. Right.
Right.
And the other thing I would say is that if your child is only eating one type of food, it's okay to serve that and also serve a salad. So you can have bread and a salad and maybe some salmon, and then just leave it there. And don't say, oh, do you want to try this? Because now it's, don't talk about it.
Right.
Because that way they feel that they have a fallback. Right. So if they don't want to eat salmon, they don't want to eat salad, okay, they can eat some bread and they don't have to be hungry.
Right.
But eventually the idea is that given enough exposure to salmon and salad, they might get tired of bread. There's actually a great book called Bread and Jam for Frances.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Right. That's a very cute book.
That's exactly what they do. They feed her bread and jam every day. And after a day, she's like, I want something else.
Yeah, she's over it. Okay, I'll put a link to that book too on the website for that.
Yeah. The other thing I found too, like when my kids were younger, they did much better with raw or very lightly cooked vegetables. Sometimes I think people overcook things.
I agree.
And it makes it kind of yucky in texture, but it also, like, in some ways intensifies the taste, not in a good way.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So vegetables are especially difficult because of the texture issue. A lot of fruit is very soft and easy for kids to eat, but vegetables are crunchier and maybe more fibrous, and it's actually a texture that can be some of a turnoff for the kid. Right. Also, if it's too mushy, then they might not like it.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So definitely raw, lightly cooked, which is again why cooking is such an important skill to learn throughout your life.
Right.
The other thing with vegetables is that presenting a vegetable with a dip tends to encourage kids because the dip can kind of hide some of that flavor that they might not love.
Right. And it's fun. It's also more fun.
It's fun. Yeah. So that's one thing that I do a lot in my meal kits is I have dips to go with the meals. That way kids can dip. And the thing with the dips is that a lot of times we fall into this trap where we're like, okay, ketchup.
Right. That's good.
But that is high in sugar and salt. So just to be aware of what the kids are being given to tempt them to eat their vegetables.
Right. So, and a big part, I guess, is having family dinners, right? You want to set up a situation where if you can, I know we're all so busy and pulled in a million different directions, but family dinner is probably a very important part of this.
Yes, absolutely. Being a good role model, not just for how to eat, but how to sit at a table and interact with people.
Right. Have conversations.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, we want to not be on our phones. That goes for the adults too.
Yeah, that goes especially for the adults.
For the adults.
Yeah. I want to ask you, can you give an example of like what what meal might be in your kit or?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
Sure. So one meal I do is pizza. So I provide the dough, the sauce, the cheese, some vegetables, spices, and then you take that to your house. Each person gets their own dough. They shape it however they want.
Cool.
They put however much sauce they want, however much cheese, however many or few vegetables. And then they make a salad, and then that's their dinner. So it's nothing. It's not winning awards for its complexity or the flavor profiles. It's but it's familiar.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, so now part of this process, I guess, could also be taking your kids to the grocery store and having them do the shopping with you and picking out the different items. But you have a couple of do's and don'ts to make this experience not so, as you say on your blog, horrifying.
Stressful.
So, how do you make the grocery shopping a pleasant experience as opposed to something you just can't wait to be finished with?
Well, I fall under the category of somebody who grocery shops in a very small time frame. I take one kid to school, then I have to go do this errand, then I have this meeting. So I can grocery shop between now and then 30 minutes from now.
Right.
So I wouldn't say I am a good role model for relaxed grocery shopping with your children. I currently am grocery shopping with my 2.5-year-old. We go all the time together. She is sometimes better than other times.
Right.
Today we went shopping and she poured an entire container of blueberries all over the store and then started jumping on them.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
that was an easy moment for you.
That must have been fun.
She also ate some of the blueberries off this floor. So her fruit.
So she really went all out.
Yeah.
It was a multi-sensory experience.
Yes. So one of the rules that you follow is you don't shop with all your kids. You try and
if when possible. I understand we all have things happen. We might end up having to go shopping and have all the kids, and it just has to happen.
Right.
I try not to do that when possible. I also try to go when she's in a better mood. So she's already eaten. She's not tired yet.
Right. Because you don't want to get to the checkout counter and you see all the candy, and if they're tired or cranky and they're going to not want blueberries that they're then going to throw on the floor, they're going to want the chocolates and the
chips,
Twizzlers and the chips and all that.
Right. And that's when it's so easy to give in and say, okay, just stop. I need to get out of here.
Right.
Fine. I'll buy that for you.
Right. That would be, you don't want to fall into that trap too often, I guess. Every once in a while, if you had to, I guess that's parenting 101 for you, that you would fall into that, but you don't want to too often. Also, do you take your children to the farmers markets? Because we're lucky enough here in LA that we have a lot of farmer market. Andrea goes every Sunday. She sees my husband there every Sunday. So do you go to the farmers markets with them?
Sometimes I do. I love the Hollywood market because they have so many samples.
Right.
Your kids can just go in and they can try all the different kinds of peaches that are available. And they can compare what's the yellow peach versus the white peach.
Right. Yeah. No, I think the farmers markets are a great experience. Yeah. I know the one in Beverly Hills, like the first of the month, they also have petting zoos. So there's always music. I think the kids look forward to going to the farmers markets. It becomes a very fun activity. You can also bring something, I guess, to keep them busy. I wouldn't recommend being on an iPad and playing something, but maybe stickers or something else that they can do to be distracted in a healthy way, so that you can go ahead and do your shopping like that.
Right. Well, one thing that I have a 4-year-old, so she's already a little bit more capable, and I can tell her, okay, why don't you go pick out, I need 5 apples. You pick out 5 apples. You do need a lot of patience to do those kinds of things.
Right. But again, that's another good skill. Like, kids need to know when they go to the market, how do you know which produce is ready to eat? How does it smell? How does it feel? My favorite trick is going to the lemons, and with your fingernail, you can scrape a little bit of the skin off, and then you smell it. And if it smells like a lemon, then that's a good lemon to buy. Sometimes you go, and unfortunately nowadays, produce and flowers don't have the same smells that they used to have. And usually it's an indication of how good it's going to taste, not the flowers, the fruit. So yeah. Okay. That's great. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Any last minute tips or tricks, you want to leave with our audience?
I wish I had a last minute trick. The truth is that getting your kids to develop healthy habits is really a long process. It happens every day. There is no trick. Everyone's always asking for tricks. How do I get my kids?
Right. Patience.
Keep going. Stay strong. That is my advice to everybody.
That's great. That's good advice. That's very good. Okay. You can follow Yael on Facebook and Instagram at Kitchen Giggles. Follow me at Jill Scharfman. Listeners can also use the code LMPE at checkout to receive 15% off their first meal kit. Remember, they're LA only right now. So if you're outside this area, you'll have to wait until Yael builds her empire and can deliver food to you, or you can come pick it up, right? It's delivery and pickup?
Delivery and pickup. Both options are available, yes.
Delivery and pickup, right. So go ahead and visit them at kitchengiggles.com. Thank you so much, Yael.
Thank you, Yael. It was really great.
It was fun. And that is it for this episode of Let My People Eat. Please visit our website at letmypeopleeat.com and leave us a comment. Get in touch at our email at podcast@letmypeopleeat.com or call us at 317-659-0004. Post on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook with the hashtag #LetMyPeopleEatPodcast. If you like this show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Tell your friends and family and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts.
And please remember that although we are certified professionals, this is not a medical advice podcast. No content, posts, or comments should be interpreted as professional guidance. Always speak to your own health practitioner about making the right life changes for you.
Until next time, I am Jill Scharfman.
And I'm Andrea Moskowitz.
Thanks for joining us.
And go in good health.